This video demonstrates how to create and use asset groups to manage host assets in your subscription. We'll look at using asset groups as scanning and reporting targets, and using asset groups to assign host access privileges to Qualys users. As we've seen earlier, there's a lot of different ways to build and design an asset group. The question that will help you determine which asset groups you need is, how do you intend to use the asset groups that you create? For example, asset groups are commonly used as targets for performing vulnerability scans, in which case you might prefer to scan by subnet, or you might run separate scans for different host operating systems. You might even run high-priority scans for mission-critical systems. Whatever technique you prefer, you can typically build multiple asset groups that reflect your customary or regular scanning targets. When building asset groups for reporting, when using asset groups as the report source, the objective is to include only those host assets that are of interest to your target audience. Host assets that fall outside of this scope will simply add noise and complexity to a report. If you have operational or patch teams that are dedicated to specific groups of host assets, you can construct remediation policies for these assets using asset groups. And finally, asset groups provide a mechanism for assigning host access privileges to the various user accounts within your Qualys subscription. When used for this purpose, it's best to design and use asset groups that meet the needs of your users without exceeding the access privileges required. To create or update an asset group, click the Assets menu here in the Vulnerability Management application, followed by the Asset Groups tab. Use the Quick Actions menu to edit any existing asset groups, or click the New button to create a new asset group. Enter a title for your asset group that best describes its host assets or members. You can specify the asset group members by host IP address, DNS name, or NetBIOS name. The DNS name and NetBIOS name options are available through the Scan by Hostname feature, which has been enabled for all student trial accounts. For this demonstration, I'll identify my asset group members by their IP addresses. If you already know the IPs you have in mind, you can enter them here in the text box. You can select your IPs from other asset groups you've already created. Or click the Select IPs link to select from a list of all IP addresses already in your subscription. You can associate one or more domain names with your asset group members. The mapping function built into the Vulnerability Management application uses domain names as mapping targets. Assigning domain names to asset groups in this fashion will allow you to delegate mapping responsibilities by assigning this asset group to another Qualys user account. If you add one or more scanner appliances, you'll then have the option of choosing a default scanner for this asset group. Also, adding multiple scanner appliances to an asset group gives you the advantage of using more than one scanner appliance for completing scanning tasks that use this asset group as a scanning target. The business impact setting is best used when all asset group members reflect the same level of importance or criticality to your organization. Asset groups can be labeled from low to critical. The setting you choose here will be factored into something called the business risk score, which gives a higher weight to the vulnerabilities that are detected on more critical host assets. High is the default business impact setting for all new asset groups. I'll save my San Jose asset group. Now that my asset group has been saved, I'll demonstrate using it in scanning and reporting tasks in the video that follows. Thank you for watching this Qualys training video.